Hello and welcome to the first Just Ask John podcast. Here at John Conkey Products, we are very excited to be featuring this new series of information sessions for horse owners, riders and trainers. Check out our website, Facebook page and YouTube channel for more information, to contact us or to submit your question for one of Australia's leading equine veterinarians, Dr. John Conkey. John is a specialist in equine nutrition, a popular author of feeding manuals, newsletters and fact sheets on horse care, and creator of the great Conkey's Own range of equine nutritional and healthcare products. We hope you enjoy John's interesting advice and information for horse owners, worldwide and accessible at all times, so visit regularly for updates. Elise has submitted a question to our Just Ask John Facebook post about feeding horses with gastric ulcers. So John, what are some of the methods of managing gastric ulcers through nutrition?
The main method really involves helping to increase the amount of saliva and the quality of saliva that's produced by the salivary glands and then swallowed into the gut as a buffering agent and also a protective agent, and also providing feeds with compounds called mucilages and phospholipids, which actually help to coat the gut wall and protect the gut against the stomach wall lining against acid attack. So these are the main things you should consider, and there's a number of feeds that have those in, and also products like our Conkey's Own Gastric has special mucilages and phospholipids and hydrophilic phospholipids which attach to the gut wall to help to protect it if it's eaten with food before a training session.
When looking at different feeds, which contain natural mucilages to help with the production of saliva?
Basically, free-range pasture, because it's green and it's got mucilages and other compounds in it to help chewing, and they chew a lot more. They swallow these mucilages and buffering agents which then help to buffer the stomach, and it keeps the stomach full if they're at pasture all the time, grazing all day. Once you start on the hard feeds, then some feeds contain a lot less mucilages. The best source of mucilages really is lucerne hay, because that contains mucilages and buffering compounds in it naturally, and we can add things like Gastric to that to help to increase the amount of mucilages. But once you get onto sweet feeds and processed feeds, the amount of mucilages are reduced dramatically, because heat treatment damages mucilages and destroys them. So that once you get onto other than raw grains, perhaps onto the sweet feeds, and molasses increase the amount of acid produced in the stomach, and a combination of that with processed heat-treated feed grains, you'll find the mucilages are also reduced, so there's less protection of the gut wall, so it can increase the risk of ulcers.
John, what do you recommend to feed before training, competition or travelling?
Basically is that the horse should be able to eat some food, usually containing mucilages, and it's able to chew the food up, plus added mucilages with Gastric and some buffering compounds like Calextra, which contains calcium carbonate and other things, and you give that into the food, and that'll provide a more buffering and mucilage protecting food, so that when the horse eats it before work, you don't have to have a lot of food, about 5 litres of loosened chaff, 3 or 4 scoops of Gastric, 2 tablespoons of Calextra, and that'll give the buffering power for up to 4 hours to protect the gut wall against acid splash, and the horse can go out and work, and when it comes back it hasn't got any discomfort from the burning of the acid that could occur if you work the horse on an empty stomach. So just even 5 litres of loosened chaff is adequate, because you don't want too much in the stomach, but you want maximum buffering capacity. So that mixture will give the best buffering capacity for up to 4 hours, and it will help reduce the risk of ulcers in training. And also it's a really good feed to feed 30 minutes before you travel a horse over distance, because after a couple of hours in the float, or when the horse is travelling, the horse's stomach runs out of food and it's standing in the float, and it mightn't have anything to eat. So basically giving that before you travel. When you get to the destination, you might be going to a show, you can give another small feed of the lucerne, the Gastric and the Calextra, and that'll provide more buffering capacity while the horse waits to go to compete. And then if you want to, you can give another one on the way home to keep the horse quiet, and that'll help to do that as well. Feeding lucerne hay, you can do that as well in the home trip, just to keep the horse satisfied and quiet, and when you get home you can give it the chaff and the Gastric and the Calextra feed then if you wish.
What horses are prone to developing gastric ulcers?
Horses that are stable for long periods of time without enough feed and run out of feed, they're obviously very susceptible if you start to work them, because the acid keeps flowing in 24 hours a day. It doesn't just come in when the horse eats, it comes in 24 hours a day, because horses are naturally continuous eaters, so they have no gallbladder, and the acid keeps coming from their stomach wall and the lower part of their stomach 24 hours a day, and it builds up and builds up. Now, if they've got no feed, it just keeps building up, and then enough volume of acid can then, when you work the horse on an empty stomach or travel it even, it can slosh around inside the stomach and then go up on the walls and cause burn above in the area, very sensitive area, above the actual protected part where the acid's produced. The lower part of the stomach wall is resistant against acid attack, the upper part is not. So horses that do a lot of cantering, pacing horses, where the acid can slop around much more and splash the upper lining of the gut wall, of the stomach wall, are very susceptible to ulcers, and that's one of the reasons why horses in training, whether it's dressage, even dressage horses, because they use their back legs to push themselves along in impulsion, they compress their gut during that with the rest of their hind gut contents, and that squishes the acid up and causes burning as they work, even if they're just doing trotting and sort of light walking and other exercise like that when they're on the bit.
Thank you, John, for your practical advice. Listeners can access more information about gastric ulcers and the products we discussed on our website.